Hello, and welcome to this video module on SEC Filings The 10Q Quarterly Report. We're going to look at how best to extract information from a 10Q. Like we've done with our other modules, we're going to start by going to the SEC's company search website, and I've included the link here. We're going to focus on Vera Bradley Designs, a consumer products company that had an IPO in 2010. And much like the annual report, our goals while reviewing the 10Q are revenue, but this time we're going to use the current quarter and the previous year's similar quarter for our last 12 months calculation. And we're going to do that for EBITDA, net income, and even earnings per share. We're also going to use our shares outstanding number for the equity market cap and look for debt and cash information for our total enterprise value. Let's flip over to the SEC website. So we're on the SEC website search page. I've typed in the ticker, VRA. I'm going to click Find Companies. And in this case, we're going to look for the most recent 10Q, starting from the top. And you can see we've got one from June of 2011. We could also search by filing type, and that'll bring us all the 10Qs. And you can see this company actually has filed 2. I'm going to click on the actual Form 10Q link, and it's set up similarly to a 10K, just a much shorter version. You can see we've got SEC 10Q, company name, table of contents with hyperlinks, and in this case, though it wasn't the case with the 10K, we're going to go right to those first financial statements, whereas the 10K had some summary financials, and we wanted to skip through to the actual audited ones. The 10Q normally does not have audited financials. These are financials coming just from within the company. So we'll scroll down and get right into the financials. And as usual, top line of the balance sheet is a figure that we're going to want. We want that cash number, $4 million. And we're also going to want the debt number. And we remember from the 10K that it was in the 60 million, 66, 67 range. Well, it's now just about 62 million. Negligible current portion of the long-term debt, so that gives us our cash long-term debt. We can also get our most current share count that we would use for the equity market cap. Again, we wouldn't use this number for the earnings per share because we need to use a weighted average for the time period. But we can use this 40.5 million shares outstanding as of April 30, 2011 when we do our equity market cap and even for our total enterprise value. Going down to the income statement, you can see we've got 2 columns. So we have 13 weeks, or 1 quarter. So the quarter ended through April 2011, and the corresponding one, you can see there's just 1 extra day. Sometimes things will be off by a day or so, especially for retail companies because of a retail calendar. They may try to get it based on weeks rather than days. But when we do our LTM, or our last 12 months calculation, we would use the revenue number that we got from the 10K. We would add the most recent corresponding data and subtract the previous. So in this case, it looks like we're going to add about 16 million to the year-end revenue to get our last 12 months revenue. And we would do something similar when we want to do EBITDA. So we're going to take our operating income for the current year and the previous year, and we would go down to our cash flow statement to get the D&A for each period. You can see D&A is roughly the same for each period, so 2 million. So for our EBITDA, we'd be adding about 2 million to the previous year end to get our LTM EBITDA. Do something similar for net income. Now, we remember this company had that change in corporate form from an S Corp to a C Corp, where the previous year, if we look at the tax expense, income taxes were negligible, whereas now it's got more of a normal kind of 40% tax rate. So what we'd want to do when we're doing our LTM net income and our LTM earnings per share is we want to compare apples and apples. So we want to use the actual reported ones for the current quarter, but we want to use this pro forma number where they've normalized the previous year's tax rate. So we'd want to say net income for the current quarter, 11 million, previous year's quarter, 10 million. So basically adding about 1 million to the number from the 10K to get the LTM net income. And we do something similar, earnings per share, and the company's doing a fully diluted calculation for us, and it's giving us the share count as well. The only other thing I wanted to point out on the 10Q is just a little bit of info down below. And you get a description of accounting policies. You get a short version of the MD&A, explaining why certain things changed year over year. I want to flip down to the stock-based compensation, because we do need to keep an eye on what the company is doing, things that may affect its total shares outstanding. So you can see this company at the end of page 9 says March 29th, so during this quarter, the company granted 106,000 restricted stock units. I usually tell students to look for stock options. Well, we also need to look for restricted stock. Restricted stock, the big difference between that and stock options is that often restricted stock does not have a strike price, so we don't actually need to look for a strike price to do our fully diluted shares calculation that we studied both in our textbook and some of our video modules. But we do know that they issued 106,000, and these, it says, are going to vest in equal installments each of the first 3 anniversaries. So if, for example, we were doing a valuation or doing some data a year from now, we'd want to say, hey, we need to count about 1/3 of those as being shares. We also might even want to dig further into documents if we were doing some sort of detailed M&A analysis to see. I would bet that those restricted stock units would become unrestricted, basically convert to common shares in the event of a change of control. So if you were advising a company that was looking to acquire this business, you'd want to say, well, we need to use our share count, but we also need to take account these restricted stock units. They're going to convert to shares. They probably would vest on a transaction. That's basically it for the 10Q. So we saw that how we can use this to get an LTM calculation while used in conjunction with a 10K. We've got other video modules on SEC filings, including the proxy statement, the S1 or IPO filing, and the 8K reporting current news.